Uh, Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be discussing the Battle of Endor and some mistakes that the Empire made there. So let's begin. So the Galactic Empire set a trap for the rebellion at Endor. It was masterminded by the Emperor himself. So they got. So most of you have probably seen Return of the Jedi. So you probably already know about Battle of Endor. I'll give you guys a quick breakdown, just in case some of you may not have seen it. If you didn't see it, you probably should watch the movie first, but it's not my problem if you want to spoil the movie. So basically, the Empire at Endor, it's the construction site of the Death Star 2. So they're building a second Death Star after the destruction of the first one. It's protected by a shield generator on the moon of Endor. It gets so confusing. There's a gas giant called Endor. The system's called Endor. The moon's called Endor. But so there's, and then they've also gathered one Executor class Star Destroyer and approximately like 30, I think is the number. On Wikipedia, at least Wikipedia. 30 Star Destroyers, ISDs, and the rebellion brings their fleet. Their entire Starfleet, I assume they don't have too much, and they burn quite a lot. So this is where the first mistake happens. What doesn't make sense to me is why the rebellion would bring their entire fleet if they weren't expecting. They weren't expecting the Empire to have their entire fleet there. It worked. It worked out quite well, actually, that they brought their entire fleet. Because otherwise, they would have been like crushed. But it didn't make sense that they brought their fleet in the first place, because they weren't expecting the Empire to know they were coming. So they may have expected like a few Star Destroyers defending it, but nothing that they needed that entire fleet for. Because all it took was a few X-wings and the Millennium Falcon to actually blow up the Death Star. Um, so I don't know why they would have brought their entire fleet. Um, they brought it just in case. I mean, why not? They're so mobile, and maybe I don't know. They did end up needing it though, and in the end, it was a good thing. In the comments below, maybe you guys know why they brought an entire fleet. Um, so next, actually before that, they snuck in. Some rebels led by Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, snuck in on a Lambada class shuttle, which had code. Darth Vader allowed them to enter. For some reason, like presence of his son or something. I don't know. But so their goal is to blow up the shield generator that's guarding the second Death Star. So they get into like a fight on the ground with the native Ewoks, or kind of like helping them fight the stormtroopers. But I think we're gonna keep the space for the most part. So we're gonna mention that a little bit in the end. But okay. So now, so yeah, they come in. They realize that the Death Star shield is still up, so their ground crew has not yet been able to take it out. So the fleet turn, and then they realize, and then around the corner of the moon comes massive Imperial fleet. Which here we get to another problem. The Imperial fleet isn't actually that large from the Imperial ships they had, so it's way larger in proportion to the Rebel fleet, but it's a very small fraction of the Imperial Navy. And you would have thought they would want as many ships as they could, because it's supposed to be like the last day of the rebellion. They're gonna want them to completely destroy. They have more ships. I think it's just because like the emperor's like didn't really think he needed that much ships, and in textbook he didn't. Um, and really, the empire didn't really lose that many ships. They're still up at the end of the battle. We'll get to that later. Another reason is the rebels probably wouldn't have noticed if half the imperial fleet suddenly disappeared. So that's probably a different reason. The main reason is probably the Emperor just thought he didn't need it. Might as well keep some other ships where they normally are. Um, so the fact that something about this place, the Death Star 2 little do the rebels know it's actually active, so it destroys a few of their ships. The rebels managed to take out the Imperial flagship, the Executor, the Superstar Destroyer, which crashes into the Death Star. I think they managed to destroy a, um a few other Star Destroyers, but not too many of them. So then the team on the ground manages to get down the shield. Then Wedge Antilles leads squadron of starfighters into the uncompleted Death Star and manages to detonate the reactor, destroying the super weapon. And this leads us to where, so now you got the Imperial fleet and the Rebel fleet. The Rebel fleet target is now destroyed, and there's so there's two problems that happen at this point. One, we'll start with the Imperial problem. So, Vice Admiral, I think at the time, Ray Sloan, ordered a retreat. This makes no sense. Pretty sure the Empire still outnumbered the rebels. They still had, I give them at least 25 Star Destroyers. That'd give them losing 5 Star Destroyers, but I think more like 28 would be more accurate. Maybe some damage to some, most of the 28, maybe like 2 or 3 of them are not really battle capacit. But I made that word up. Capacit. That's a new word. Okay. Capacit. So not really all of them are battle capacit, but um so why would you order retreat when you still outnumber the enemy? You got the rebel alliance, they're literally sneak. You got their whole, it's hard to hunt down their fleet. You got the whole fleet in one place and you just leave. You're outnumber them. And even if they didn't outnumber them, maybe the rebellion did more damage than I realized. I don't know. They can call up reinforcements from the rest of the galaxy. Now, you probably should have done that in the first place. But okay, so the two reasons they didn't bring more ships in the first place was the Emperor didn't really think it was necessary, and the rebellion would have noticed if half the Imperial Starfleet. Well, by this point, the rebels already know they're being attacked at Endor. They don't really, doesn't really matter if they know. And about the Emperor, he's dead. Well, not really, but he's out of the picture for a while. So, like Admiral Sloan, it would have been a much better move to contact other admirals around the galaxy and bring in reinforcements, maybe a few interdictors to trap the rebels there, completely destroy them. They had the fleet power at Endor to destroy them, and they had even more power around the galaxy to come in and destroy the rebel fleet. But instead, they just retreated. They just left. They didn't do anything. The rebels stayed at Endor and they just left. They weren't hurt that badly. The main reason that the Empire fell after that was the death, well not death, but um the Emperor, and not even for the reason that okay the Emperor's gone now the whole thing collapses. It's because of Emperor Palpatine's contingency plan. He thought they were not the Empire was not worthy to exist because they'd allow him to die, even though he hadn't actually died. So he had them exterminated from behind the scenes. That's kind of why. That's why the Empire fell so quickly after that. The rebellion didn't actually do that big a blow. The death of the Emperor was probably the biggest one. And then also the destruction of the second Death Star. They don't have a Death Star anymore, but they lost one, in, Super Star Destroyer. But there's still like 6 other ones running around the galaxy. Like, they could have pulled them in. Like, thousands. Man, I don't know the exact number, but there's thousands of Star Destroyers scattered around the galaxy. They all could have came in. They could have brought in interdictors to stop the rebels from leaving. They might have already done that in the actual Battle of Endor. I'm not sure. Okay, now we get to the second problem. This one actually comes from Battlefront 2. I guess we hear about them retreating in Battlefront 2 as well. So, for Battlefront 2, we hear that, one of the characters, Dell, says that the rebellion is, deploying troops all over the, Endor moon. And he's probably exaggerating. They're probably not destroying them all over the moon, just in the general area of, like, the shield generator stuff. And we see in the game that there's quite a few rebels you're fighting. The rebels that actually managed to completely overrun the Imperials, and the Imperials are having to, like, flee, ground at least. And that was actually a retreat you had to make. Um, but why didn't they do that earlier? So they had troops to deploy on the moon. But why didn't, when they immediately got there and realized that the shield's not up, why didn't they immediately deploy troops to the moon to help the shield get taken down? I mean, like, yeah, I realize why they didn't do that originally because they had, like, stealth. But now the stealth didn't work. You're there. You got troops to deploy. Deploy them. I can't figure out why they're nice. Can't wrap my head around. Maybe I'll think about it in a few days. Maybe mention it in a future video. So keep tuned. You guys put it in the comments. Help on this one. I can't figure it out. So that's about it for the Battle of Endor. I mean, it kind of had a big impact. The biggest thing was the death of the Emperor. Like, if the Emperor hadn't died, I mean, you destroyed an Executor. Well, you make more of those quite easily. You got 6 other ones. It's not that big of a deal. Death Star 2, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, you lost the Death Star 2. But seeing as how fast they made that one, they can easily make another one. It'd just be it was a big financial but it's not something that was gonna actually like stop the Empire. The real blow that really made it a turning point was the death of the Emperor, which the fleet didn't even do that. That was Luke. No, that was Anakin Skywalker. Um, so that could have completely happened if Luke just all by himself went to the second Death Star. The same result would have happened. Because it was the death of the Emperor, not necessarily the destruction of the Death Star, the destruction of the Executor. Maybe they lost a few Imperial Star Destroyers. That's not what did it. Um, so yeah. Speaking of how the Emperor kind of like had his own empire destroyed, maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. He calls it the contingency plan in the case of his death, and apparently he's also got a plan to resurrect, as we see in Rise of Skywalker. But so yeah, keep tuned for that future contingency video. I'd like to put out some more videos more frequently. So stay tuned.